There's a moment that comes to us all, a quiet, devastating realization that arrives like winter fog seeping through the cracks of our carefully constructed lives. You're scrolling through your phone, and suddenly you're face to face with someone else's triumph. Their perfect moment frozen in pixels and light. Your chest tightens. Your breath becomes shallow. In that instant, you feel yourself shrinking, becoming smaller, as if their success has somehow diminished your own light. This is the moment when comparison transforms from a fleeting thought into a thief of joy, stealing not just your present happiness, but your very sense of self. What if I told you that this pain you feel, this gnawing sense of inadequacy, isn't actually about them at all? What if the real revelation is that every comparison you make is actually a conversation with the deepest, most hidden parts of yourself? Carl Jung, the great explorer of the human psyche, understood something profound about this universal human struggle. He knew that when we look at others and feel that sharp pang of envy or inadequacy, we're not really seeing them clearly at all. We're encountering our own shadow, our own unlived potential, our own fears and desires reflected back at us through the mirror of another's life. Consider for a moment the garden of your soul. Each person who walks this earth tends their own unique plot of land, with different soil, different seasons, different seeds planted in different years. Some gardens bloom with early spring flowers, vibrant and attractive. Others reveal their beauty slowly in the deep summer warmth, or in the golden surrender of autumn. But here's what we forget in our moments of comparison. You cannot judge the worth of a garden by a single photograph, taken in a single season from a single angle. When you compare your beginning to someone else's middle, or your struggle to their highlight reel, you're essentially comparing winter to summer and wondering why your landscape feels barren. You're looking at their noon and comparing it to your dawn, forgetting that light travels differently across different terrains. Your journey, with all its unique timing and rhythm, becomes invisible to you the moment you start measuring it against someone else's completely different path. Jung spoke of individuation, the psychological process of integrating the conscious and unconscious parts of the mind to create a whole, authentic self. This process is deeply personal, carved by your unique experiences, traumas, gifts, and revelations. It cannot be rushed, cannot be compared, cannot be standardized. Yet in our comparison-obsessed world, we try to industrialize our growth, expecting ourselves to develop at the same pace and in the same way as everyone around us. Think about the last time you felt truly, authentically happy. Not the performance of happiness you put on for others, not the fleeting high of external validation, but that deep, quiet contentment that comes from being fully present in your own life. I'm willing to bet it wasn't in a moment of comparison. It was probably when you were so absorbed in your own experience, creating something, connecting with someone, discovering something new about yourself, that the rest of the world faded into the background. This is the paradox of comparison. The very act of looking sideways at others' lives pulls us out of our own. We become tourists in our own existence, constantly checking our GPS against other people's destinations instead of actually experiencing the journey we're on. We miss the subtle beauty of our own unfolding, the small victories that would feel monumental if we weren't too busy measuring them against someone else's seemingly larger achievements. But here's where Jung's wisdom becomes revolutionary. He understood that our shadows, those parts of ourselves we reject, deny, or feel ashamed of, often get projected onto others. When you see someone and feel that sharp edge of comparison, ask yourself, what quality in them am I responding to? Is it their confidence, their creativity, their apparent freedom, their success? Whatever it is, that quality lives within you too, waiting to be acknowledged, developed, and expressed in your own unique way. The person you envy is not your enemy. They're a messenger from your unconscious, showing you what you're capable of becoming. They're a mirror reflecting back your own potential, your own unlived possibilities. But instead of seeing the message, we often shoot the messenger, turning our envy into resentment, our inspiration into self-diminishment. Imagine if every time you felt the sting of comparison, you paused and whispered a quiet thank you to that person for showing you what's possible. Imagine if you could transform that sharp pang of envy into a gentle curiosity about your own untapped potential. This is not about positive thinking or spiritual bypassing. This is about recognizing the profound intelligence of your own psyche. The way it uses external triggers to reveal internal truths. Your soul knows things your mind hasn't figured out yet. It knows that you have gifts that need different conditions to flourish than theirs do. It knows that your timeline is not their timeline, that your definition of success doesn't have to match theirs, that your path to fulfillment might look nothing like what they're walking. But when you're caught in the comparison trap, you lose access to this deeper knowing. You become a stranger to your own wisdom. There's a beautiful concept in psychology called compare and despair. The idea that comparison is the thief of joy. But what if we went deeper than that? What if comparison is actually the thief of presence? Every moment you spend measuring your life against someone else's is a moment. You're not fully inhabiting your own experience. You're not tasting your own joys, not feeling your own growth, not appreciating your own unique flavor of being human. Consider the trees in a forest. The mighty oak doesn't envy the graceful birch. The deep-rooted pine doesn't wish it were the flowering cherry. Each tree grows according to its own nature, reaching toward the same sun, but expressing its trees in completely different ways. The forest is beautiful precisely because of this diversity, not in spite of it. Your life, your growth, your unique way of being human adds something to the collective human forest that no one else can contribute. Jung believed that each person has an essential self, what he called the true self with a capital S. That is completely unique and irreplaceable. This self doesn't need to compete with anyone because it has no competition. It's like a fingerprint of the soul, a pattern of being that has never existed before and will never exist again. When you're connected to this deeper self, comparison becomes not just unnecessary, but actually impossible, because there's literally nothing to compare it to. But finding this self requires courage. It requires the willingness to stop running the race everyone else seems to be running and to start walking your own path, even if it leads through unfamiliar territory. It requires trusting that your inner compass knows something your rational mind hasn't figured out yet. It requires the radical act of becoming interested in your own life again, of falling in love with your own unique way of experiencing this brief, precious existence. This doesn't mean becoming narcissistic or disconnected from others. True self-connection actually makes you more capable of genuine relationship, because you're no longer trying to extract your sense of worth from others. You're no longer looking at everyone else as either competition or validation. You can appreciate their light without it dimming your own. When you stop comparing, you start noticing. You notice the subtle shifts in your own growth. You notice the small moments of beauty that are available only to you, in your specific circumstances, with your particular perspective. You notice that happiness isn't a competition. It's a presence practice. It's not about having more than others. It's about being fully where you are with what you have. The journey to freedom from comparison isn't about never noticing others or never feeling inspired by them. It's about changing your relationship to that noticing. Instead of using others' lives as evidence of your own inadequacy, you can use them as invitations to explore your own potential. Instead of seeing their success as proof of your failure, you can see it as proof of what's possible in this human experience. Jung taught us that what we resist persists, and what we accept transforms. When you stop resisting the fact that you're exactly where you're supposed to be in your own unique journey, when you stop fighting against your own timing and rhythm, something magical happens. You begin to trust the process of your own becoming. You begin to see that your life isn't behind schedule. It's unfolding according to a deeper wisdom than your comparing mind can understand. Your happiness has been waiting for you to come home to yourself. It's been waiting for you to stop seeking it in the validation of being better than others and start finding it in the simple miracle of being you. It's been waiting for you to realize that you're not in competition with anyone. You're in collaboration with your own highest potential. The most revolutionary act you can commit in a world obsessed with comparison is to become genuinely interested in your own growth, your own joy, your own unique way of contributing to the human experience. To tend your own garden with such love and attention that you forget to peek over the fence. To become so absorbed in the mystery of your own unfolding that others' journeys become sources of inspiration rather than intimidation. Right now, in this moment, you have the opportunity to choose differently. You can choose to see your life not as lacking compared to others, but as rich with its own unrepeatable experiences. You can choose to measure your progress not against external benchmarks, but against who you were yesterday. You can choose to find your worth not in being better than others, but in being true to yourself. This choice, the choice to come home to yourself, to trust your own timing, to appreciate your own unique journey. This choice is where your happiness has been hiding all along. Not in the next achievement, not in the next comparison one, but in the quiet courage to be authentically, unapologetically you. Your life is not a rough draft of someone else's story. It's the only copy of your story that will ever exist. Every comparison you release is a step closer to reading it with fresh eyes, appreciating its unique plot, falling in love with its distinct voice, trusting its perfect timing. The happiness you seek isn't somewhere else, in someone else's life, behind someone else's door. It's here, in your life, behind the door you stop opening to peek at others' gardens. It's in the moment you realize that your journey is not just valid, it's irreplaceable. If this message touched you, if you felt something shift in your heart as you listened, I invite you to take a moment right now to choose yourself. Choose your own timing. Choose your own path. And if you're ready to commit to this journey home to yourself, comment, "I choose my peace." Let this be your declaration of independence from the exhausting game of comparison, and your first step into the beautiful, uncharted territory of your own authentic life.